Get all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
Blog Talk Radio.
Ghastly greetings, groovy ghoulies. The Midnight Black Mass is on the air. The Sultans of Shock bring you one of the most outrageous podcasts in all the land. It is I, your host, the devil you know, the maniacal minister of the occult, the Reverend Andrew Wilson, alongside my partner, the Robin to my Batman, my partner in crime, the gigolo of Northwest Georgia, Mr. Andrew Alexander.
I prefer gigolo of Northwest Georgia over your Robin.
Hey, Robin's cool, but I forget you're a DC hater, so you only live up to the public conception of Robin, which is that he's a loser. But if you really knew about Robin, you know he's a badass. But that's probably a discussion for Get Your Pulls.
Robin will do.
So we do have some comic stuff to talk about here in the What's Up section of the show, but I did want to just briefly drop that shortly here after Andrew Alexander joins the show, I don't want to tell him this actually because he's going to get a big fucking head now, but we got our first accolade, and it's quite a small one, I suppose, but it's actually from an international website in Germany, ranked the Potty Humor Network one of the top 150 podcasts for shock value, or the top 150 shock podcasts. So it's the Sultans of Shock. There's a lot of people doing podcasts, millions in the world, so it's an honor to be ranked in such a small handful by the website, rather. God, I can't even fucking talk. I'm so excited, right? The website is podcasting.li. And there's a link right there on the Potty Humor Facebook page at facebook.com/pottyhumor.
Wow, that's something, man. If you would have told me when I was a teenager that one day I would be co-hosting a podcast where I was talking about my sexual exploits and giving love advice, I would have said, yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't know what a podcast is, but sign me up. They haven't been invented yet, but sure.
Well, if you would have said I would be on a somewhat of a radio show doing that, I would have said, yeah, that sounds right up my alley. So
the modern-day Howard Stern.
Cool. Yeah.
Very excited about that. It's something. It shows that we are getting some listeners on the iTunes, and if you're finding us on YouTube, the best way to get us is on the subscription services via iTunes or Stitcher. If you subscribe, just type Potty Humor, all one word, into your search engine, click subscribe. You're there with a new episode each and every time that we upload, and that covers the Midnight Black Mass and Get Your Pulls. If you're a comic fan, if you're not, you can just click delete, and they'll be out of there. They won't take up any of your space. But so want to talk about What's Up right now, and What's Up is got us both pretty excited. Some big news from the Marvel Studios camp this week, that the casting has been made for Season 2 of Daredevil. And as many speculated, or at least hoped and prayed, in my case, Frank Castle, one of the most popular villains, heroes of all time. He's a vigilante, a ruthless character from the world of Marvel, the Punisher. If you're not familiar with him, you've probably been living under a rock, but that's okay. He's one of my absolute favorite characters. You don't agree with his methods. You obviously killing these people is not the right answer necessarily, but if it was me and my family was gunned down in front of me in Central Park, I'd kill all the motherfuckers too.
Oh man, this news, this is probably the best news that I've heard all year, and I mean on a personal level. I was super stoked to hear about that. I've been thinking the Punisher should get some sort of relaunch or some sort of play in the cinematic universe for a while now. The casting choice seems to be pretty good. I mean, coming off that hot Walking Dead run.
Yes. The casting choice being John Bernthal, former Walking Dead alumnus, who played Shane in season 1 and part of season 2. One of the most interesting characters in the history of the show.
Yeah. He kind of had that baby face / heel thing going on The Walking Dead, which the Punisher also has. But the Punisher, man, of all the I haven't read a million comic books. I've read my fair share, and I've read some story arcs and some different things. But my favorite stuff I've read is Punisher books. I love that raw and gritty, just nasty, dirty, just fucking killing people, man. Like, the Punisher books are my favorite thing I've ever read, without question. I mean, and I've read some good stuff that you've hooked me up with, and the great movies let me borrow, but I love that Punisher stuff, man, and the fact that he's going to be on season 2 of Daredevil, which I was already super stoked about. I mean, as soon as season 1 ended, I was like, they've got a hot shot at season 2, which they quickly realized they had, because that show was so well done. I thought just top notch all the way, and there's rumors circulating about Bullseye, which is kind of an obvious choice, and you never know when Elektra might pop up as well. But this was great news. I was super stoked to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Punisher's been played in pop culture in recent years a couple of different times by two great actors. Tom Jane in the Punisher movie from the early 2000s that starred also John Travolta, and Kevin Nash. There's a wrestling tie-in there. And it was a great movie, and I thought Tom Jane did a great job, and even reprised the role in an unofficial short about the Punisher that came out at Comic-Con a few years ago called Dirty Laundry, and a lot of people thought that he might come back to the role. He certainly has expressed interest in coming back to the role, but he didn't. My take on him was that he was probably a little too emotive and good of an actor, as strange as that may sound, to play the Punisher, because he's sort of a shot-out character. He's a Vietnam vet who's already gone through all this horror overseas in a war that's much maligned, and, everybody knows the story of Vietnam. A lot of the vets came back and thought that, the country wasn't proud of them. A lot of depression, a lot of really sad stories there. Frank Castle is one of those, and then you add on the fact that he watched his family get gunned down by the mob in Central Park. He's not quite so emotive, and Tom Jane very much was that. The other guy that played him, Ray Stevenson in Punisher Warzone, which I fucking loved that movie. A lot of people hated it. I don't fucking understand that, but I absolutely loved Punisher Warzone, and he really captured that, I thought. But I'm very excited to see John Bernthal. I think we're going to see a dynamic to the Punisher that we've never seen with this new role.
Oh, definitely, and I enjoyed both movies. The Thomas Jane movie, they changed up a little bit from the comics and stuff, which it happens. But I thought it was really good. Warzone, I didn't hate. I like it. I kind of preferred the Thomas Jane just for some various reasons. But Warzone was good too. I would have liked it if they just kind of kept it a sequel or did a total relaunch. It was just, I don't know, it's very, very weird, very different. They just threw it out there, and then we haven't heard anything from the Punisher since. But he's making a comeback, and I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. Now, I know you had mentioned that you had an issue with some stuff that was going on, also comic movie related. Were you going to save that for Old Man Haters, or were you wanting to talk about that now?
No, we can mention it now because it's not a big deal yet. But I just, I'm really worried about Ant-Man, and I have been for, ever since they started it, because, they had some problems with the writing and with the directing and just all around problem getting it going. And, I don't want any of the Marvel, I don't want any Marvel movie, but especially these in the cinematic universe that are just so well done. I don't want any of them to bomb. I don't want them to second guess any decisions that they have upcoming and stuff like that. I want them all to do extremely well. And Ant-Man just has me nervous. I mean, just from the people I've heard, people ask me because they know I know about stuff, about comics. They're like, what is this Ant-Man? He looks stupid and, all of this stuff. And I'm not seeing I'm not seeing the promotion we saw for Avengers Age of Ultron. And I mean, clearly that's a bigger movie and it is going to do better than Ant-Man, but you can't write Ant-Man off as just this throwaway flick. It's tied in. And I think they need to get on board with, because we're just over a month away. We're probably about 4 weeks away from it coming out. And I just don't want it to fail. And I mean, I know Guardians of the Galaxy was a big, big question mark, and it was kind of a risk they were taking, and it turned out to be a blockbuster and arguably the best movie in the cinematic universe. I mean, it's in my top 3, easy. So I just want to see them put everything they can behind this movie like they always do, because I think it'll be good. It's going to be interesting. I don't think it'll be bad by any means, but I just want it to be extremely successful so they just keep up this momentum, for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, we want to see these movies being made for 10s, 20s, 30s of years from now, and hopefully the same stories are carried forward and they don't have to reboot everything, and that's going to unfortunately happen once the sheen wears off of the gold, so to speak, with these Marvel movies. But you think the promotional train will be rolling out soon. You would think they probably want to put more money into that one than they had some of the others. But like you said, it's a question mark. Time will tell, but hopefully it succeeds. So let's move on to the wrestle news, because I got an interesting scoop here that I want to talk about. And this may take up, there's some other items we have down to mention, but this may take up the entire segment for the wrestling news once we get to talking about it. So, and Andrew doesn't even know about this. This is totally, and this probably will have broken as a story, by the time this episode hits the air and the on-demand, Sunday nights, 11 p.m., beyondringside.com and all of our on-demand stations, that I'm sure the story will have broken, because I saw that apparently Dave Meltzer was working on some sort of write-up relating to it. And heavily rumors, wild rumors, conspiracy theories. I'm not saying any of this is true. Just the fact that there was maybe a small amount of credibility to it made me go, wow. I don't think, right off the top, I'll put a disclaimer, that I don't think a lot of it is true. I think a lot of it is wild conspiracy theories, but in wrestling, you just never fucking know. So I think it's at least worth talking about, prefacing it with that, without stating, we're trying to shine a beacon of truth or break a story here. Just interesting stuff. So, allegedly, a lot of rumbling in the indie community that WWE has offered to buy out Evolve Wrestling, and has hired Gabe Sapolsky, their booker, and the guy who runs the promotion with him, and also WWNLive.com, who's a sponsor here on the program, Sal Hamawai, allegedly have offered them contracts. I don't know if this is true. Again, this is all speculation, but allegedly that's the case. Now, say, okay, what's the big deal with that? Well, it's one pretty major independent promotion. Allegedly, I've heard rumors that they're looking to shut them down, or they're also looking to make them development for development, because NXT is blown up so much that they need another place for some of the other guys that they've got under contract, which are in the dozens, that don't hardly get ring time at NXT because of the popularity of the show. They got to focus on their stars while still treating it as a development program. So it's an interesting balance that they have there. So you think about that logically and think, okay, well, that sounds like there might be some truth to that. But here's where it starts getting even more wild. Here's where this shit just gets like monkeys throwing feces on the wall crazy, okay? Allegedly, this is part of Triple H and Vince McMahon's plan to buy out, one by one, all of the major independent promotions. I've heard rumors that even said that Vince McMahon himself is looking to copyright the word professional wrestling, and they're trying to put indie wrestling out of business.
Wow.
Now, that's a crazy fucking feat. Like, I don't see how it could happen, first of all. And you'd be playing whack-a-mole, essentially, because, you might take the best two guys and the owner, and then the rest of the guys are going to go somewhere else, right? But what do you think? God, this is just, I'm getting all of this. I just had to talk about it with somebody.
That's insane. How could he? Why? Why would he copyright the words professional wrestling when he refuses to let anyone say that?
Yeah, I have to call bullshit on that one. Like, I don't even see how anybody could think that would be possible. And Vince is a smart guy. I don't think he thinks that's realistic.
Yeah, I don't even know how that could happen, and I don't understand what their point is or desire to buy out pretty much any independent promotion. I mean, they want to get one for kind of a, like you said, a developmental to developmental. I could see that, but that's pretty much it. Why would they have any interest in buying out any? Because there's no way you could buy them all out. I mean, there's just, you're looking at shit shows and outlaw shows and indie shows. There's probably 10,000 in the country.
I think it would be more geared towards your major indie shows. Any show that's getting sort of any kind of buzz about them. That's who they would be allegedly going after.
Okay. Well, I don't see the point. I don't see the upside to that. I mean, these shows I don't think take away from their ticket sales or their pay-per-view buys. Really, or the network buys. So. This is
and
crazy.
Where the fuck are they going to get talent if they don't, they need these places for guys to go work and get experience before they get there. I mean, you see half of the stars that they have now are guys that had a lengthy tenure on the indies working at different places for different people, learning different styles.
Exactly. And, they're not even in that mode of looking for big athletic football players anymore. They want guys with indie experience. So if they basically shut down any decent indie promotion for whatever reasoning, where are they going to get talent from? It just makes no sense.
Yeah, it's a giant head scratcher to me.
And they're obviously making money hand over fist, but they're not financially stable to the point of just throwing money away. You always hear about, their quarterly meetings where they're losing all this money and they're pumping money into the network and doing all of this stuff. It don't seem like they just have money to just throw around on foolish projects. And this sounds, I don't see how this makes them money if they just shut down a show that's drawing 200 people. Once a month or something.
No, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, I can see them going after the Ring of Honors, I guess. I mean, if you're really trying to shut down any competition, because they're on national television now, hard to even classify them as an indie. But then also it's like in the old days, like in Stampede, okay, they would take the 2-3 best guys and buy the territory out, and they would shut them down. And I guess that's where these theories are coming from, is that they're trying to reenact, I guess, the territory takeover of the old days.
Well, I mean, there was a purpose to it back then, and it worked, and there was enough talent where you could do that. There's probably not 3 guys in every big indie promotion that they'd even want. And B, what are you going to do with them? You already have tons of guys at NXT that aren't getting TV time as is. So I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. Buying one to maybe set up some sort of working relationship like they used to have with OVW and Heartland Wrestling and things such as that. And what was the California-based?
Well, they had UPW for a while.
Yeah. A kind of a working relationship there. I could see that. But just buying shows to buy them seems very, very foolish.
Yeah.
But I think they could get some of these shows at a good deal.
No, I'm sure. I mean, they don't have contracts to buy out, so really, what are you getting? You're not getting anything.
Yeah, I don't even know what you would get. That, Is
the logic maybe that
they just want to be the only source for pro wrestling, and they borderline almost are. Like, there's people out there, I'm sure, that have no desire to watch any other wrestling other than WWE.
Well, they've definitely made themselves the Coca-Cola, yeah.
Yeah. There's going to be a couple people out there that drink Pepsi. I actually prefer Pepsi to Coke, but I'm the minority for sure. Coke is everywhere. That's what people drink. That's what... You don't even buy a Coke and you call it a Coke. You're like, oh, I got a Coke. That ain't a Coke, motherfucker. That's a Dr. Pepper. But they got the market cornered. And that's the WWE for sure. So, I don't know. We'll see. That'll be interesting. I'm kind of looking right now on some news, and I see that that's broke. Reportedly talking with Evolve's parent company. So... yeah, so at least that piece of news is already broken. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not it leads into this vast Nick Cage movie of wrestling conspiracies or not. But I'm certainly open to see what happens. Vince McMahon's Book of Secrets.
The book of how to trend. It's gotta be trending, damn it. Oh, hey, pal, I see you got a wrestling show here. You're drawing 50 people. I'd like to buy it.
What do you pay the wrestlers? A hot dog and a Coke? Well,
I'll make you more money than you've ever made.
Well, I've only made $40. I've been in the business 10 years. That'll be easy.
Well,
I hope if Vince does it, I don't want him to play around. I don't want him to buy the big ones. I want him to buy every promotion in the country and shut down all wrestling except for him. Then there's just no more wrestling ever. He's either
if you're going to go big.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll get off the pot.
He's got to buy Empire. He's got to buy the 52 shit shows in the Northwest Georgia area alone and Chattanooga area. He's got to buy them all.
I want to be a fly on the wall for those fucking negotiations.
Oh, Jesus. That would be
so, pal. How much for that WCW replica belt?
Oh, pal, what's your character? Well, my name's Big Bank Barfield, and I'm rich, and I got money. Oh, that's interesting. I can see it now. Hashtag Big Bank Barfield. Outstanding.
You know what I was thinking about? We haven't, in this new volume of the Midnight Black Mass, we haven't had a guest, like an interview segment. I think we should reach out to Big Bank Barfield and have him on the show.
Man, you can conduct that interview. I don't know if I'd be able to fucking handle it.
I don't know how to. Man, I don't have any experience doing interviews. You started. I mean, I could think of a couple questions. It would be interesting, man.
I could interview him. I mean, trust me, I've interviewed worse slubs, but fuck.
Maybe we could do some gotcha journalism and have Tank on the line the whole time, and then just, after the interview's over, be like, Tank, are you with us? and just, see what happens.
And then we'd get sued for bullying.
Oh my God, we would. We would be the bullies. It would be like in middle school when three-way calling got big, and people would call you and start asking you all these questions about a girl. So, what do you think? What do you think about that girl in class? And you're like, wait a minute, is she on the line? No, I swear. Well, she's okay. She's on the line. Gotcha. Three-way calling.
Gagging up
take
on
me
them.
Back. What else have we got in pro wrestling news?
We've actually eaten up all of our time in pro wrestling news, as I expected we would. So we'll have to come back to those stories maybe next week. That was just such a crazy story; it warranted discussion. So, and I think we accomplished that and got an interesting conversation out of it. So we'll move right along to it's time to get to hating. Old Man Haters is coming up right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Because you do not get to win, shitbird. We do.
Won't you cry? Oh, shitbird, yeah.
What was it? The shitbird?
And now, the Shitbird Break, featuring your friendly neighborhood strong-style psycho, Tank.
If you've been in the business 15 years and you've never left Chatsworth, Georgia, you might be a shitbird.
This has been the Shitbird Break, featuring the strong-style psycho, Tank. Tune in each and every week on the Midnight Black Mass to find out how you can avoid being a shitbird.
The Midnight Black Mass is pleased to announce we have become an affiliate of the World Wrestling Network at WWNLive.com, the home of the finest iPay-per-view and video on demand in all of professional wrestling, featuring promotions like Dragon Gate USA, Evolve, Combat Zone Wrestling, OVW, Shimmer, Shine, $5 Wrestling, and the vaunted Kayfabe commentaries with their U-Shoot, their guest booker, and their timeline series. You have to check it out. Of course, you can always go to their main page at WWNLive.com, but if you will, do us a solid, go to Facebook.com/PottyHumor or follow me on Twitter at Dragons Rejects. We'll be posting our own unique links to these events as affiliates. If you go through our link, they give us a little kickback, and we greatly appreciate it.
Whether you're having an autograph session, personal appearance, or live event, we got just the person you need to contact for all of those needs. SBI Bookings is home of some of the best stars in the wrestling industry today. They provide you with the best talent this business has to offer, from Kevin Nash, Larry Zbyszko, Scott Steiner, and many, many more. So who will you contact next time you're planning an event? The men of SBI Bookings. Check them out at sbibookings.com.
We're back on the Midnight Black Mass, and it's time to bitch. That's right. It's old
man. Why do you hate everything new? Partly because I don't understand it, and partly because fuck you. It's time for Old Man Haters.
What's wrong with you?
It's either this show or indigestion. I hope it's indigestion.
Why?
It'll get better in a little while.
We're back on the Midnight Black Mass with Old Man Haters. This is where myself and Andrew Alexander, being now in our 30s, so we're old men. I know some people get a fucking laugh out of that, but we certainly feel that way, at least compared to the youth of today. So, going to hike up our pants, going to get a little fucking salty, and we're going to bitch. So my first topic here on Old Man Haters. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. This is a good one. So I come from a family of musicians. I'm a third-generation musician, actually. And most people know me as a huge fan of the heavy metal, the loud and wild music, and I certainly am. I fronted metal bands for many years. I play guitar, I play bass, I can do a lot of different things musically. Not incredibly well, but I can do them. And so part of that musical tradition in my family is that my grandfather, who passed away last year, as many of you listeners on the show earlier this year, as many of you on the show know, he led a family country band, and they were hardcore, old school, honky-tonk country. So some people don't know I have a big soft spot for that type of music. I think it's a very pure and rich music of a people, and so you look and you fast forward today to what people call country music, and it's just fucking horrible. But what's even worse is that even the shitty pop country has its own subsect called bro country, which is the biggest fucking abortion to ever hit the audio waves in the history of audio. It's like this hybrid of fucking countrified frat boys and boy bands and rap. And it's bands like Florida Georgia Line and Luke Bryan and this guy. And unfortunately, I got a story to tell about this. I was at fucking Riverbend, which is this big music festival, to see the legendary Merle fucking Haggard, and he was amazing, by the way. And me and my wife are walking through this crowded area, and before we know it, we're stuck in the middle of the area where they're having the fucking bro country douchebag of the minute, Sam Hunt or some cunt or whatever his fucking name was, and like the fucking people around you are just diarrhea people, and they're all fucking of goddamn Fireball and Natural Light, and they've all got their little fucking plaid shirts and their stupid whore girlfriends with their fucking duck faces, and they're all fucking breathing on us and won't get out of our fucking way. And I looked at my wife and I said, "My God, honey, we're in hell." And she agreed, because she's cool and has good taste in music. So we got the fuck out of there as quickly as we could. But that shit fucking horrified me. And to think the legendary Merle Haggard was playing on the same venue, just another stage down at this big festival, like, it made me very sad, because there were more douchebags over there getting rowdy to this asshole than there were for Merle Haggard. Merle had a packed house, but it was reserved people, and they weren't, like, fucking getting rowdy, you know. It was a bunch of gawkers. And just, like, this fucking kind of, so you take, like, I like rap, like, old school rap is fucking awesome. Like, I don't get much of the new stuff. I don't listen to much new music at all, really. Because I'm old and jaded. So, but, you have a music of an oppressed people who are lashing out with rage, and pouring their souls out about what their lives are like. And that's both the traditional rap music and the traditional country music. But the two don't have any cross-section. They don't fucking belong together. It sounds like something that was invented by the fucking cops. It's just, it's garbage. And I normally don't say, like, oh, well, to each their own. If you like whatever, that's cool. It's each person's personal taste. But that music is fucking garbage. It fucking sucks. And if you buy into the fucking mass-produced bullshit that is, the fucking cookie-cutter, goddamn boy band fucking trash that music is throwing out there, then you're fucking cattle. You don't have any, or at the minimum, you don't have any taste. You have no taste, because it's the antithesis of music. I never thought I would say this, but I'm glad that Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings and Buck Owens and Conway Twitty are dead, because at least they don't have to fucking see what the music that they loved and made a world love has turned into.
Man, I don't even know what I could say to top that, but I completely agree with everything you said, because I've never heard the phrase bro country. Like, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly the music you're talking about, but I didn't know it had a label. But of course it has to have a label. But bro country, that it's the worst. And man, and I'm not a musical snob, and I don't know the technicalities of musicians and things like that. I just know what I like. And I like stuff all across the board. I'm talking like I know that I like some bad music. Like I can enjoy some Taylor Swift songs. Not that, oh, they're just catchy and whatever. I mean, I literally enjoy them. I like them. I love Kelly Clarkson. I love Judas Priest. I love Iron Maiden. I love Randy Travis. I'm all over the board. But I hate the music that you just described with a passion. There is nothing. I literally cannot think of anything that I would rather not listen to than that. I could listen to a jazz band, classical, bluegrass, hip hop, any type of music I could listen to before I had to listen to that shit. I hate it so bad. I don't know if I could say I hate it as much as you because you were very passionate, but I can't stand it. Luke Bryan is the absolute worst, and if I've heard one woman say she loved him, I've heard a million, and they all, I love Luke Bryan. And I'm like, oh, really? You think he's good? Oh, he's so cute. He's got a nice ass. What's that got to do with music? You love his music because he's got a nice ass? That's bullshit. And that's the only reason they like him. But all of that music, oh man, it's such garbage, and they're mixing in hip hop and man, and I can listen to anything. I can listen to so much stuff, and can at least enjoy it, or it's passable. But that is the worst. That is the worst garbage out there.
Yeah, it's fuck bro country, and it's fucking stupid asshole.
Yeah, with the fucking locomotive. I stumbled upon a YouTube video. This was a couple months ago, but I just remember it was like proof that all new country songs sound the same. It was like from 2013 or 14 or whatever. But they just took tons of the top hits from country from that year, and they like broke down the songs, and they all talked about the same shit. I mean, cookie cutter like you described. I'm not talking about country songs being similar over decades of time, where you talk about your heartbreak and your broke down truck and your trailer. Yeah, if you look at country songs over a long time, some of them have the same themes. This was from the same calendar year. Every top song had the same shit in it, the same stuff.
Same lyrics, same beat, same music, same guitar solo. It was just absurd.
And who the fuck is Sam Hunt?
Some cunt.
Sam Hunt, some cunt. Man, I got told I look like Eric Church, and I was like, who the fuck is Eric Church? And I Googled him, and I didn't know that he was part of this bro country, but as soon as I saw him, I knew that he was, and I was offended by this.
I would be highly offended.
Oh, I was upset. I'm like, oh, no, girls love him. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't look like that guy. And I don't. I didn't even see it. And our good friend Bobby Moore, he looks like Zach Brown.
So much that he was once nicknamed Sack Brown, yes. So I've probably eaten up most of our old man haters time here. Did you have anything you wanted to rant about before we move on?
I got a small thing.
Okay.
How did things we bitch about? How big do they have to be? Do they have to be just huge?
Whatever you want. It's your time to be a hater.
Well, you know what I fucking hate? When you pay for gas with cash at the gas station, you say, I want $20 on pump 5. And you go and pump that gas, and it's going, and it's going, and it gets to 1950, 1960, 1970, it starts slowing down. You're telling me we can put a man on the moon, but it takes 30 fucking seconds or 30 cents for the gas to slow down? You can't hit that. You can't hit the pump brake at 1995 and do a 5 second. You're standing there like fucking with your dick in your hand, pumping gas. You're just waiting. 71, 72, 73. That pisses me off. Every time I do it, it pisses me off.
Oh, it's
I mean,
longer than waiting on a
legitimately
pregnancy
makes me mad.
test.
Yes, it's the worst. Like, to the point where I want to start, I'm going to keep an extra quarter, and I don't like to give away no silver now. I'm going to keep an extra quarter with me, and I'm going to say I need 20, 25 on pump 3, and when it gets to 20 and slows down, just fucking leave. I'm done pumping this gas, bitch.
I don't need your fucking piddly 8 cents.
Yeah, I don't need your 1/100th of a gallon because the shit's so expensive. So that's a little thing. So we got a good rant, we got a little bullshit thing. But it's true.
Hey,
it makes me mad.
It made me too. It's fucking infuriating, but it's all in the spirit of hating, and that's what Old Man Haters is all about. So we get another brief break. We're going to be right back with more tales of the single man. What has he gotten into this week? Fuck or fail. Right after the break.
Wrestling fans, Anarchy Wrestling television tapings are the second and fourth Saturdays of every month at 4236 Level Grove Road in Cornelia, Georgia. For more information on Anarchy Wrestling and on the shows, to watch the television product, and a whole lot more, go to anarchy-wrestling.net. That's Anarchy Wrestling, the second and fourth Saturdays of every month in Cornelia, Georgia.
Okay, we're back on the Midnight Black Mass. It's time.
In a world filled with sluts, whores, and women who make questionable choices, one man sets out to fuck them all. Will our hero fuck or fail?
Welcome to Fuck or Fail, Tales of the Single Man, where Andrew Alexander, our co-host, tells us about his escapades. What have you gotten into this week, man?
Oh, man. It was a bit of a slow week. I was getting nervous. I was worried that I wouldn't have a fuck or fail story, which is a fail in itself, especially at only the third edition of Fuck or Fail, and the first being a two-parter. But, so I start sending out some feelers, some texty text, if you will, trying to get a little action going, seeing what I can pull. So I'm chatting up with this girl, and she's kind of bitching about her boyfriend and stuff like that. And this isn't a crazy story like last one, but it just shows you women today how they are. So she's bitching about her boyfriend. I'm like, hey, I'm off today. You should come by. You should come by the house. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'll come by. So I'm like, okay, so we got something going. She says, I'll be there about 5:30. I'm like, cool. 5:30 comes around. She's like, well, I got to go get my hair done. I got to go get my hair did so I can be a fly girl. I got to be there at 6. I'll come over after. So I'm like, no problem. I don't have much to do. Just sitting around relaxing. 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. I'm like, see, now this is horse shit. I can appreciate being shot down, but I don't get the need to lie. So I'm just like, hey, so are you coming or not? And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm still getting my hair done. What the fuck kind of hairdo are you getting done that takes 3 fucking hours? Damn Marge Simpson beehive shit? But I was like, I kept my calm. I was like, okay, cool. Just let me know when you're done. 10 o'clock, 10:30. Finally, she's like, okay, I'm leaving now. And I'm like, well, where is it? And it was like 30 minutes away. And I'm like, damn it, man, I'm an old man. It's 11 o'clock. And I've still got I might have to put in a lot of work or something to get this story. Damn. And at this point, I don't even want to have sex. I just want to get a segment for the podcast. But anyway, she's fine. I'm like, hey, I'm going to bed. Back door's unlocked. Here's my address. Blah, blah, blah. So I come to bed. I get in bed. Finally, about a little before midnight, this chick comes in. she comes in and she starts talking, and she's just standing here. You know, I'm already in bed, and she starts bitching about her boyfriend, and she's like, blah, 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 blah. And I went over to his friend's house, and he was drunk, and he said that he's going to stay with him tonight because they got to work tomorrow and blah, blah, blah. And I said, wait a minute. This is the boyfriend she lives with, by the way, and I guess she helps raise his kid. It's one of those situations. It's a good one. So I said, wait a minute. You went over there to get him? On your way home? On your way over here? And she's like, well, yeah. And I was like, so if you would have got him, you would have went home, and completely blew me off. And she's like, well, no, I wasn't going to blow you off. And I said, no, that's the definition of blowing someone off. And she's like, well, no, I mean, it just got late, and I had to go get him, but fuck him. And I said, no, that's bullshit. You told me you were going to come over here at 5:30. It's damn midnight. You're walking in here just because he was drunk and wanted to stay at his friend's house instead of going on with you. And she's like, well, he's a piece of shit, and he gave me $300 to pay the bills. But I said, fuck his bills. And I went and got my nails done and got my hair done and got my eyebrows waxed and all this shit. This is a true story. You know, I don't make things up on Fuck or Fail. This is a true story. She's telling me this. And I said, so wait a minute. You took the bill money to pay you and his bills and went and got your hair done? She goes, well, there's some left. I paid one of the bills, but I spent his money and got myself looking right, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, well, that's fucked up. But I go back to where you were trying to blow me off. I'm Andrew Alexander. You don't blow me off. And then she just stops me. And this was good because I didn't have to put a lot of work. She says, are you going to keep bitching, or do you want me to take my clothes off? That's a true story, hand to God. And I said, well, I got to be honest with you. I feel pretty good bitching you out. So she takes off her pants. She takes off all her clothes. She jumps in the bed. And I actually I feel powerful just scolding this woman, tell her how fucked up she is. So as she's licking my balls, I tell her, look at you. Look how fucked up. You take your boyfriend's money to go get your hair done and get your face done and your fucking nails done, only to come over here and fuck me. Is that not fucked up? And she's like, yeah, I guess kinda. And then she just starts choking on me. And needless to say, with the greatest of ease, our hero fucked, ladies and gentlemen.
Excellent. Outstanding. Well, you're 2 for 2 on Fuck or Fail. Will the streak continue? I don't know, but there'll be more Fuck or Fail next week on the Midnight Black Mass. We'll be right back after this commercial break with Promo or Porno.
Where can you find 24/7 pro wrestling, MMA, talk radio, and more? BeyondRingside.com, featuring 24/7 streaming audio, including the Midnight Black Mass, Sundays at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, except for pay-per-view weekends when they run a mini marathon and the Midnight Black Mass goes on as its namesake at midnight. But don't forget the other great shows like Beyond Ringside, Wrestle Rage, To Be Determined, and more. That's BeyondRingside.com.
And we're back on the Midnight Black Mass, and it's time for America's favorite game.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to America's favorite game show, Promo or Porno.
Welcome to the game show that puts the hard in hardcore and where you never want to take it home early. It's Promo or Porno. I am your host, the Reverend Dan Wilson, along with my co-host, Mr. Andrew Alexander.
Yes, that is correct, sir. Yes.
And we're back now with a new contestant. Last week, the big prize to watchmymomgoblack.com was finally claimed by one half of the Empire Tag Team Champions, formerly 2 times Mr. Corey Cox. Tonight we have a very special guest on the line as a contestant, a dear friend of mine. He works for WNSR Radio in Nashville, Tennessee, but he's a former professional wrestler before that, and actually a man that put the hardcore in wrestling himself, as hardcore was a way of life to this man, a legend of the NWA Wildside days, and now a very outspoken personality on the radio waves, Mr. Crazy Charlie Saunier. How's it going, man?
Outstanding. I've still got some thumbtacks stuck in my ass, and I'm ready for the money shot tonight. Let's win this game show.
I think we should mention that Dan kind of messed up the intro there when he should have said former radio personality in Nashville, because once they hear this, I think you're going to get the boot.
Last time I had a meeting with the boss was after I overturned a table, accidentally got color somehow, opened a can of beans, dumped them all over myself, cut a promo on the entire city, including my radio station, walked out not to be seen or heard from for almost 9 days, and then turned up and I don't think they're too worried about me competing on your little game show this evening.
Oh, wow. That is hardcore.
Well, Trash is a dear friend of mine for many years, and of course I call him Trash because that's what I've always known him. I'm not insulting him. He's also a former NWA Wildside star, White Trash, for fans of that promotion. You may remember his antics as a tag team with Tank and Project Mayhem and his various crazy singles escapades. He was the mascot of NWA Wildside for many years. So, Andrew, I need you to tell Mr. Trash what he is playing for tonight.
Well, the gift certificate to watchingmymomgoblack.com was claimed last week, but don't worry, we have a 6-month membership to hardcoregangbang.com.
I'm ready, boys. I need that membership, and I'm going to need all 6 months to go through the extensive archives.
Well, let's get down to it. For the fans that might not know at home, how you play the game show is this. We play an audio clip. Could it be from the world of professional wrestling or pornography? Is it promo or is it porno? You will find out very shortly. Our first audio clip.
That's better. You look a little uncomfortable. Champagne? I'll make you feel better. Feeling a little frisky tonight, aren't we?
Two lovely ladies talking sensually to one another. Is it promo? Is it porno?
Let's see. I'm going to have to think about the country of origin here for a second, and perhaps some of the dialect heard. Boys, I've heard and seen some of the instructional videos on the internet today. I'm going to have to go with porno on this one. I think that's a better thing for me to get that wrong, actually. I think it is better for me overall.
Well, right out of the gate, unfortunately, we really shat the bed there with that one. I mean, I apologize for the quality of that audio was not as great as it sounded in the original mix. But that was from WWE, actually, believe it or not. That was a hotel room scene filmed between Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson on SmackDown.
Well, that explains it, because it was real shit.
Well, just because you got the first question wrong, that means, of course, you won't be getting that. The membership to hardcoregangbang.com, and they'll go on to our next potential winner.
Hard-earned money, man. 2015 is a big old bust for me.
I know some other places on the internet. I'll hook you up.
Can you get me some links? I can always use some links, especially involving Czechoslovakians. All right, especially Czechoslovakians and their glasses. I like that. That's good stuff.
They are coming forthwith. No pun intended. Okay, well, even though you missed the first question, we're still going to let you try to save face and try to answer the other two for the moral victory here tonight.
I don't know what's the moral victory here. If I get this wrong and I end up out of the game completely as the worst contestant ever, or if I redeem myself and truly earn the title of a New Jersey scumbag. Boys, let's go with the clip.
All right, here we go. Clip number 2.
Those damn lemon-stealing whores.
A little quick, a little short one, but I'll play it again.
All right, let's hear it again.
Those damn lemon-stealing whores.
The quote is, "Those damn lemon-stealing whores."
Well, I don't have a lot of experience with lemon-stealing whores. I did know a guy who threw a frozen head of lettuce out of a car window once, but I don't think that applies right here. Risking it all and my reputation as a true underground scum of the earth, I'm going to say porn.
That is correct, sir.
Man, the alumni at SBU are monitoring this, and they might have put me out to pasture if I had gotten both questions wrong.
They very well could have. You're a very respected figure there.
I am in direct line to be the dean at that esteemed university.
That is correct, Andrew.
Yes. What type of porn scene was that from? Why are they stealing lemons?
I have no idea. I can only say that's got to be some sort of food fetish, but who knows?
I may post the link to this on the Facebook page. Actually, for our fans, I will post the link to this, the actual video clip I sold this from, on the Facebook page as a promotional material for Promo or Porno. It's called Lemon Stealing Whores, and it's about this couple who's like lounging in lounge chairs, like Shay's Lounge style, out in the sun in their bikinis, young and trim folks, looking attractive, and then all of a sudden they just start talking about how much they fucking love lemons. And they look around and they're in a fucking lemon patch. There's trees with lemons everywhere. And they're like, oh,
Boys,
I love these lemons.
I think living in 2015 is the most fantastic time to be alive, then you're nothing but a lemon-stealing whore.
And their big concern is that the lemon-stealing whores are going to come and steal all of their lemons. And apparently somebody starts fucking at some point, but I never got to that.
Someone got paid to write that.
That is correct, sir. So
I thought it was going to be about guys that like to get their dick sucked while squeezing lemon juice into the girl's eyes.
No, I think they do that in CZW, though.
I never saw what was actually involved in the actual sexual act, so that's not to rule out that some lemons weren't squirted somewhere to make someone uncomfortable, and somebody probably got off on that, and hey, that's your bag, more power to you. But moving on to the third and final clip for total moral redemption. The background on this clip here is it does come from a foreign land. Now, that's a challenge because it's not in our native tongue. However, can you decipher? Did it come from a backstage wrestling promo in a foreign country? Or a backdoor porno in a nasty foreign land? Here it goes.
Hey, was suchst du denn hier?
Ich wollte nur mal so eine Uniform anprobieren.
Du wolltest ja wohl klauen. Komm. Alarm! Alarm!
Promo.
Jesus Christ. Wow. I think I have peered into my own soul with that clip right there. And I really hope that that's a wrestling promo. I really hope it is, because if not, I'm afraid of what happened to those people.
Well,
oh man, somebody got hurt really bad during the shooting of that. I know they did. That guy sounded like King Kong himself. For God's sakes, I hope that woman's okay.
I thought he kind of sounded like a little bit of a Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, well, that's a big enough problem as it is. I mean, could you imagine that fucking fat fuck laying on top of you trying to shoot a porno? For fuck's sake, Jesus Christ, now I'm horrified. And I shit on a car, all right? There. I've shit on somebody's car before, and I'm disgusted by this clip.
That one certainly came from the bowels of the internet, and like most of them, I didn't stick around to find out what happened afterwards, especially because I couldn't understand what the country was, and I've seen enough German videos to know you don't want to peer too deep into foreign porn unless it's Czechoslovakian.
Well, you know, they'll do anything for a couple bucks off the street.
Yeah, so a valiant effort on promo or porno, but yet again the game.
I feel about this. I've lost the game, but I may have actually won a piece of my human soul back.
Well, hold on to it tight. Make sure you breathe in Windows so you can see that the soul is fully restored, and you can see the fog, just like Bart did.
Since I'm still employed, though I've lost on this game show, I'll just get my own subscriptions the old school way, like I always have.
Outstanding. Well, that wraps up another edition of Promo or Porno. When we come back, we're actually scrapping our scheduled segment of Dear Andy this week because as we record this, we just got some breaking news that shakes the wrestling industry to its core. We're going to talk about the passing of a great icon when we come back from commercial break. Trash, if you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to. If you've got time, if not, I understand.
Boys, I'll let you handle it like the experts that you are. I appreciate you having me on for a couple of minutes. And anytime you need to chat or you need anything from me, I'm always right here. I'll tell Hinton you said hi, and I'm sure he'll have a message to send back to the Reverend.
Out-fucking-standing, my man. Scumbag you for life. My friend, Charles Saunier, Crazy Charlie, White Trash.
Wait till they put that fucking mural up. It'll be the most horrifying thing humanity's ever seen. Jeff G. Bailey standing on top of the mount. Can you believe it?
I can't fucking wait. All right, have a good one.
See you, man.
Promo or Porno wraps it up. Any final thoughts on that, Andrew?
Man, that was I thought for sure he would at least get to the final question. He just come out of the gate and missed that one. I mean, some of these questions are really tough. When I heard about the game idea, I was like, well, that's going to be easy. And man, 4 contestants, only 1 winner. And that winner
so far managed to
that winner was Corey Cox, who is a true certified scumbag. So he was kind of a ringer, but man, the game was tough.
Yes, it has been beneficial for all parties involved, generating great interest. And I love the format of it because it's, people are lining up to get on it. And the way we do the show, it's like there's a pool of people we can just kind of call and be like, hey, come on. And I'll play for a gift certificate to Porno, sure.
Everyone loves porn. If they tell you they don't, they're lying.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And you can tell a lot about a person by the type of porn that they like.
Yeah, if they'll let you into that. I mean, the eyes are not the window to the soul. The internet history is.
That is indeed a fact. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be right back with more Midnight Black Mass. Going to take a turn for the serious as we discuss a tragic loss in professional wrestling. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, kids. Get your official Midnight Black Mass merchandise just in time for Halloween at midnightblackmass.spreadshirt.com. Be the coolest ghoul on the block with your brand new Reject or Midnight Black Mass t-shirt. Get them exclusively online. Online exclusive, people. midnightblackmass.spreadshirt.com.
In this age of technology, appearance can make or break your franchise. Need to stand out in the crowd? Force FX is proud to work with each and every customer to bring them exciting new designs to reinvent their brand. Satisfaction guaranteed. Custom innovative logos can leave a lasting impression and add just the professional touch needed for you or your business to truly thrive. Let us help you grow with your own custom logo, starting out at the incredibly low price of $25. Force FX knows how to advertise. If you need flyers, business cards, web pages, promos, billboards, signs, or anything else designed differently and expertly, we can help. Send a message today with what you have in mind, and together we can create exactly what you need. The best designs, the best deals, designed differently. Force FX. Find out more at facebook.com/ForceFXDesigns or call 423-637-8784.
And we're back on the Midnight Black Mass. Rev Dan Wilson here with Andrew Alexander, and very sad to report, already has been all over the mainstream news and everything by the time you'll hear this, but we actually just got the news today right as we were about to go on the air. We actually changed the format of the show up last second to talk about this huge, devastating loss to the world of professional wrestling. One of the biggest stars of all time, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, passes away at the age of 69. That one hurts, man. It fucking hurts.
Yeah, it's never easy when any professional wrestler passes away, because you grow up watching these guys and you see them just every week, multiple times a week sometimes, and you just develop this relationship. Even if you've never met the person, you feel like you know at least part of them. And you know, documentaries and books and again, seeing them all the time, hearing them in the interviews and the promos, you just get to learn a whole lot about these people. I mean, there's professional wrestlers. I could tell you more about Bret Hart than I could my own father. You know, you just feel connected to them, and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, like you said, one of the all-time greats. Top 5 promos. I mean, I can't name 4 better. Maybe 4 that's in his league, in his field, but not many men were better. One of the best talkers, talked people into the arena, and just amazing mind for the business. Was a longtime booker. Come up with. We could sit here and try to think of all the things he come up with. I would like to hear some of those. I'm sure you can think of some right off the top of your head quicker than I can, but it was a huge loss, and I hope the WWE and gives him the royal treatment on next Monday Night Raw, some sort of fitting tribute, because, you know, one of the top stars of all time for sure.
Yes, the Dream touched many, many lives. I have a million stories about Dusty, going back to just being a small child, of course, and, you know, being a wrestling fan and watching that old NWA TV where he was the top babyface. Some of my earliest memories of Dusty Rhodes involved the Mountain Dew commercials, and that was kind of what turned me on to the fact that there was other wrestling besides WWF on TV. I knew there was other wrestling because I had an uncle that was always gone and doing wrestling, but it wasn't on WWF, so I knew there was other wrestling, but I didn't know about it on TV. And I remember seeing these Mountain Dew commercials with fucking Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors and thinking, man, these guys are awesome. And so I started watching that. And, you know, when Dusty was the top babyface in those days, like you said, maybe the greatest promo of all time. I mean, it's arguable, but it's hard to say that anybody did more with their mic skills than Dusty Rhodes ever.
Yeah, for such a long period of time. And then crossing over into some managing and quite a bit of color commentary in WCW, probably 7 or 8 years worth of color commentary on a lot of the shows. And he was good at that. He had an extremely unique style, which, of course, he always did. But I enjoyed his commentary, especially for the WCW announce team, because they rarely had a strong combination, especially after guys like Jim Ross and Paul Heyman left. But I always enjoyed Dusty on commentary as well.
Oh, I loved him on color. He was so fucking entertaining and hilarious. This clubber in town, this 4/5 is on one body.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
how many matches, you could go back and watch matches that are absolutely horrible, but you could be entertained because Dusty's doing that color and saying just outlandish shit.
Oh, he was fucking amazing. And you know, like my stories, like he was a big part, like just around my career and kind of signified big events in my wrestling career. Funny story, my first time meeting Dusty Rhodes, I actually got kicked out of his locker room. Like I got invited to come up to his show with a bunch of local workers. I had just broken into business. I had no idea, you know, as an announcer, nobody's telling me shit. And so, you know, they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to go up here to Turnbuckle and meet everybody and, you know, try to make booking contacts. You should come with us. Okay, cool. So I go, and, like, everybody's really nice. And, you know, like, they let us in the back because I guess Ron West was working for him, rest his soul. But he knew all of us from working for him. And so, you know, all the boys were talking to us and shit, and then Dusty came in, and he wasn't a giant dick about it, but he politely was like, you guys aren't booked, you need to get the fuck out. You know, early lesson learned by the dream. It was pretty hilarious, and, you know, being a newbie that had no fucking place as a fucking greenhorn, you know, I was like, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good thing, too, because if I walked in and saw just, you know, a gang of 10 people standing around, I'd be the same way.
Fuck yeah.
Like, who the hell are these people?
Why are they in my fucking locker room? Yeah, absolutely. Like, looking back, luckily, you know, I was just the fucking indistinguishable runt in a pack of guys, so nobody really remembered that. But I'll out myself here on the show and tell that story probably for the first time ever on the air. Just because it was a funny introduction. But I later did get to know Dusty a little bit, not great. Like so many more people in the Georgia scene were closer to him than me by a long stretch. I only had a couple of interactions with him. But after that, every interaction I had with him was fucking positive as hell. I worked in Bill Barron's booking office for many years as his assistant, and Dusty would frequently call there to book guys or just talk business with Bill. And, you know, often his assistant, Susan Meeks, who we talked about a couple of weeks ago on the show, she would be the one that called and rang him in. But sometimes Dusty would just call himself, and he was always very nice and friendly. And he even sent through Bill an ECW hat to give to me. And I don't know if that was Bill just being nice to me and saying that Dusty told him to give it to me, or that he really did. But I still fucking... like, I don't want to know now. So that hat still sits on a shelf, like, as a fucking coveted possession. That the fucking hat that the American Dream gave me, you know. And then I finally got to work with him in Wildside a couple of times, and fucking that was amazing. I got to talk to him in the back about the business and about the War Games match. And, you know, I asked him, I was like, you know, in your design, knowing that you had to do this year after year, and knowing people were going to catch on to it eventually, did you ever think to maybe switch and have the baby faces win the coin toss? Because the War Games was entirely Dusty's concept, one of the most legendary matches in the history of wrestling. You want to talk about the great ideas that he had and the great contributions that he made. And he looked up at me and he said, of course, you know, as Dusty takes a long pause and he gazes off into the distance, and he says, no, baby. The heels always win the coin toss, baby. The heels always win the coin toss. Yes, sir.
Simple enough.
Yeah, I never deviated from that. And I posted this on my Facebook page earlier, and I'll have to share it on the Potty Humor page as well. But actually, like, there's one of the introductions I got to do with Dusty is online from NWA Wildside Hardcore Hell. I think it was like 2003. The main event was like it was AJ Styles and AJ Styles and Alter Boy Luke and Gabriel Chad Parham, which is another funny Dusty story in relation to him. You know, Chad Parham used to be Gabriel in the Lost Boys. He had the bleached or the red, like fire engine red hair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Dusty used to call him Reba. He used to book them a lot for fucking Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. And he took a liking to Chad. It was like, hey, Reba, come over here.
Reba? I've never heard of that.
Yes. And that just always tickled the hell out of me. But anyway, it was a 6-man. It was Parham, Luke Hawks, and AJ Styles against Christopher Daniels, Azrael, and Corey Chavis. It was such a badass match. And Dusty was in the corner of the baby faces to counteract Jeff G. Bailey. I had to do that big, like to a packed out Wildside Arena. The 3-time NWA World Champion, you know, like I just fucking gave it my all. And, you know, like I had fucking like tears welling up in my eyes and goosebumps on my fucking arms, like where the fucking people are just going ape shit, like fucking Midnight Riders playing and shit. It was just fucking like one of those moments that you could never ever replicate that makes wrestling the drug that it is.
And I'm sure Jeff G. Bailey was just freaking out too. Did he take any bionic elbows or anything?
Oh, fuck yes. He took the bionic elbow on the floor, and then Andrew Thomas, he got in the ring and took the flip-flop and fly.
Nice. Oh, that's great. What do you think Dusty's best run was? Do you suppose it was he kind of helped form the Four Horsemen, basically. Like they, you know, everybody knows the story of how the Horsemen were formed, but it was kind of over Dusty, right? Like, if I recall, I mean, they were all feuding with people, but it was kind of, Dusty was like the focal point.
Well, it was almost by accident that the Horsemen were formed. They all kind of came out together and kept promos just to try to save TV time, and that they ended up getting put together. But Dusty was the mastermind behind that era from like 85 to, I mean, really like 89, though he had a break where he went to the WWF. Like he was pretty much the driving creative force behind most of the best stuff going on in the NWA. And like that, to me, that red hot year in 1985, where like the Rock and Rolls were so just white hot, and the Horsemen were white hot, and Dusty and Magnum and fucking Nikita, like, that's some of the best wrestling of all time is 85 NWA.
But what about him in ring as a performer? His best year or two. Do you think it was that 85, 86?
85, 86, I think. I mean, like as far as what he could do, he's probably more mobile in the 70s. You know, he had those great fucking matches with Superstar Graham. It was not known. You know, he was a guy that certainly held up his end, but he was not known as a guy that just tore the house down. And he and Dusty had that great series of matches in New York with a bull rope match and a fucking like double color. And you know, really, like, that was good shit. Like, physically, that and in, you know, Florida when he turned babyface against Gary Hart and Pak Song Nam, like, that was a super hot era for Dusty as well, and he was probably a better in-ring performer in those days, but I think it's just the overall magic of, like, him as the number one hero and the white hotness of everything else going around in the territory with the perfect villains and the Four Horsemen. I got to say 85, 86.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that stuff he did in 77, I believe 77 with Billy Graham. Those promos were just so good because, you know, all that, pretty much all of that stuff, you know, for the most part is on the WWE release Dusty Rhodes DVD, which is great. It's one of their better DVDs for sure. But that Billy Graham stuff, man, I love those promos, and it was so different. I like the Dusty and the classy, the robes, the almost Ric Flair-esque robes with the crazy sequined hats. And he did a little more, he didn't lean on the country boy from Texas as much as he did 85, 86. He was more of that, you know, electrified funk. And
more flamboyant.
A little more more flamboyant and a little more of the rap. You know, juking and jiving and all that stuff and the rhymes. And I just think, man, that stuff is just so good. And it's so different than, it's similar, obviously, but it's a lot different than that NWA stuff. And, of course, you know, the Fed run in 89 and 90, which was amazing, too. I mean, he was there right at a year and a half, and his run was phenomenal in the WWF.
Yeah, I mean, he was over the entire time and in a featured position. He was working with guys like Savage and DiBiase, so I don't really get where people say they tried to bury him in the WWF. I've never has to be a theory that's come from people that don't understand the business, I guess.
Yeah, because the big rumor is that Vince put him in the polka dots for a rib, and if I had to put money on it, I would bet $1 that he did, that it was a rib, that it was like, well, you work for me now. You were the competition. You were the booker of the only competition really left, and you're going to do what I say. And how many guys in the business now would have just huffed and puffed and probably quit the company if they were like, we want you to be covered in polka dots? But Dusty, man, I mean, being a kid, I never once thought, why is this guy wearing polka dots? Later you find out stuff, you're like, okay. It didn't matter to Dusty. He was over like $1 million. He could have been in a burlap sack, and he would have been just as over. Those polka dots didn't hinder him at all. And then they have a nice little lady that likes to drive the guys around when they come to her town and stuff, and she's just basically a huge fan, which shows you how different the business is now, because they take her from this position and say, we're going to give you a spot on the show. You're going to be with Dusty. No clue what she was doing. No business in the wrestling business. And he got her over. Extremely over. Not popular. I'm talking, roof blowing off the place when she would come out and they would dance, and the feud with Macho King and Sensational Sherry. Dusty's only appearance at WrestleMania in the first ever mixed tag match. Hyped is the first ever. It is the first one to my knowledge, and they bring Elizabeth out to be in the corner, and that was an amazing moment. And, the promos, just so much good stuff in that run as well.
Yeah, I mean, the polka dots, I always looked at it as like it was just the WWF version of Dusty Rhodes, because you know how they are, and they have to have something to market for everybody. They have to, everybody's got some kind of gimmick, and I didn't think it diminished him at all. I just thought it was just their way of making him more colorful and WWF-y. That was that was the only thing I thought about it, and I didn't give it a second thought.
Yeah, definitely. Why do you think, I've always wondered this, I mean, you look back and maybe it was because of the timing just wasn't right, it was just really never right, but why don't you think they tried to capitalize on, could you imagine Hogan and Dusty teaming up at just for something, anything? How hot that would have been in 1990?
I'm sure they did something on the loop, but I don't know why they never did anything with TV. But again, they never did anything with Hogan and Flair on TV. There was, something that they resisted about giving those dream matches at that time. The excuse was they didn't do good business on house shows, but it's you're throwing them out there cold with no hype.
Yeah, I don't buy that excuse for why Hogan and Flair didn't work at Mania, because I think it was just because they wanted Flair to drop the belt, because that's what heels did at Mania, and Hogan was leaving and he couldn't leave with the belt, so I think that's why they switched it up. But that's just an educated guess. But I've got extensive collection of the Coliseum videos, especially from that era, and a lot of that was kind of just house show stuff that they filmed and threw together, and I just cannot remember anything. I just think that tag match on any platform would have just been huge. Maybe they just thought that Dusty's so over, Hogan's so over, they don't need, because Hogan did a lot of stuff with some of the undercard talent. He was giving Tugboat the rub and Beefcake and a lot of those guys. So that could have been an issue where there's just no need to bring them together. But I just think that would have been awesome, and the promo alone would have been great.
Yeah, and Dusty wasn't there very long, so I don't, you'd think maybe if he would have been there longer that might have been something that they went to, but I don't know that they ever got around to it.
Yeah, and then he goes back to WCW, and I really lean towards some of those promos and '77, and obviously there's the great stuff from, like you said, '85 and '86. But when he went back to WCW, have you seen the promo where Dusty and he asked to be Dustin's tag partner against Terry Funk and Arn Anderson and, the Stud Stable in '94?
Yeah, oh my God, yes, that promo's so fucking good. The view never changes, baby. The view never changes.
Yes, exactly. And that was the business had already started changing, and WCW's business in '94, even after Hogan came in with it still was not great. And the crowd is they're kind of reacting at the start, but you can tell it's just they see this as just like another segment or whatever. But by the end of the promo there, when they hug, they explode, man. And I love that promo so much. I've watched it so many times. That
promo bring a fucking tear to your eye, man.
It will. That promo is amazing, and they did just some little cool stuff there with Funk. And remember when Dusty comes in the ring and smashes the chair over Ming's head, and he just stands there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was such an awesome moment. And WCW didn't pump out, especially then, they didn't pump out a ton of awesome stuff that sticks with you so specifically. And those are definitely some of those things.
No, and then that's when Hogan had just come in, and so everything was super PG, and they went to the big War Games match, and there was like no blood in the fucking War Games with all those guys.
Man, War Games is a great the match, just the concept is amazing. It's great. There's not a lot of great War Games matches released. I know they did the house show, but released that you can see. The first few were good, and the one
I love 91.
91's good. I love 92 with the Stinger Squadron and the Dangerous Alliance.
That's probably the best one.
Yeah. After that, it there's not a lot of quality there. I mean, you got some good stuff with the angle-wise. There was some good stuff because you had the fake Sting when the NWO came in. That was revealed that that whole thing was at War Games. The match itself wasn't particularly great, but that angle was awesome. The fake Sting comes out, and you think it's the real Sting, and everybody's freaking out, and then the real Sting comes out. That was hot. And then the next year, they did the big heel turn with Kurt Hennig that at 13 I saw coming a mile away. But, they put Flair's head in the cage and threatened to slam it. That was a great moment. But the matches itself and after that were just not up to par.
No, but I mean,
the match,
indie wrestling,
the match was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, other places have gotten a lot out of it. I mean, Wildside kind of revived it in the early 2000s as a big annual thing to look forward to. And then that carried on to Anarchy, and then after that, the popularity kind of spread, and it seems every fucking promotion does a War Games now. But for good reason. If you don't overdo it, it's a great mechanism to blow off a long-term feud, especially between groups. It's probably the best mechanism to do that.
Yeah, and I like the way we've done it at Empire is it's not a good idea to plan War Games, a specific event, like September is War Games. It's better if it comes naturally, and when you see the opportunity to do that style of match, whether it be the typical 5-on-5 or 4-on-4, there's been other variants of it, but if you can just do it naturally when the time comes and not set it at a specific date, that's so much better. That's why with the themed pay-per-views the WWE does now, it kind of hurts, like Hell in a Cell in October. So it doesn't matter what, if the feud warrants being in a Hell in a Cell, it's going to have to be because it's October. The same thing with the War Games, become a September annual event. And sometimes they definitely made sense, and sometimes it was more thrown together. But, what is Dusty credited for? The Dusty finish, Great American Bash. Didn't he basically create Starrcade, which Vince just took and amped up and made WrestleMania?
Yes. Oh, all of the above and so much more.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still creating. I mean, he was the head writer on SmackDown for many years. He's now, right up until he passed, was working as the top dog in NXT as far as talent evaluation.
Yeah, I'm working with the promos and stuff, which, who better? And some of the characters, Big Bubba, he created that, correct?
Yes, and it was under his, he did, and under his regime that the Midnight Express took on Stan Lane. So, I don't know if without his foresight that after Dennis Condrey left that possibly the Midnight Express might have went their separate ways, but Flair had trained this guy out of Charlotte with Stan Lane, and that was all under Dusty's booking regime. So you have to think he had something to do with that as well. Of course, Nikita Koloff, Magnum TA, so many of the guys, the Russians, the whole big thing with the Russians, not just Nikita, but you brought in Ivan to, of course, give it credibility as he'd been around for a lot of years. And, you had the American Turncoat and Crusher Khrushchev, and that was a super fucking hot angle. And like Dusty did a lot of the same stuff Bill Watts did as a booker, but they both learned from Eddie Graham, so that's only to be expected.
Yeah, and can't forget about that you mentioned when he turned babyface in Florida. That was crazy, the reaction when you watch that footage, the crowd just going nuts, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was one of those all-time great angles, very much credited to Gary Hart and his brilliant mind, as well as Eddie Graham and Dusty and all the parties involved. I don't think Pak Song Nam did much but throw that crazy-looking chop, but he certainly served his purpose.
Well, am I wrong in saying that he kind of helped with the American Dream label, right? Because
absolutely,
because this, there was this foreigner and parading him around, disrespecting America, and he took that and he's like, I'm the American Dream.
This has been a production of the Potty Humor Network. Find us online at youtube.com/Potty Humor or subscribe to us weekly and never miss an episode by searching Potty Humor on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you for listening and good night.